Well, happy holidays, everyone, and welcome in to the latest edition of the Unash and Dukes podcast right here on our YouTube page, our brand new YouTube page. Go out and give it a like out there, give it a follow. I guess it's follow on YouTube, it's like on Facebook. We encourage you to do both, right, Mark?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. That's
Yes.
even better. Well,
It's free. It's
that's an old
free.
newspaper guy right there.
I think that's what it is on YouTube. Yeah. Follow, like, and YouTube subscribe, please.
And subscribe. Yeah, you can pick us up there. That's about the easiest way to do so with all of our archived episodes as well. You can go back and hear those, listen to those, including our talks with Dan McCarney and Mike Loss and our great conversations as well. And you can also do so at crmlivesports.com. You can do it through our Facebook page, Instagram, X, wherever you may be surfing during this holiday period, you can find us there. And happy holidays to everybody. I hope everybody had a good Christmas, got through it a-okay, and ready for the new year. 2026 is almost upon us. Less than 6 days away, and we'll have a bowl game before that. More on that coming up in just a little bit. Lots to get to in the program, but as always, we want to thank our great sponsors, including our presenting sponsor, Emel's Hideaway on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. Happy holidays to the entire crew over there. They're right across from the Lindale Mall, next to the Home Depot, and right next to the Home Depot, as I mentioned. They've got all your favorites over there. If you're tired of cooking, let let Chris cook for you, right? That's a good way to do it. He's excellent. They got all your favorites: chicken pasta dishes, pizza, burgers, fries, and great sandwiches, as I mentioned. Right over there, they have catering as well. So give them stop on by. They're open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. So thanks to Emel's Hideaway. Big thanks to Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, right across from the Johnson Avenue Hy-Vee on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids. Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids as well. Hunt Graphic Innovations and Todd Hunt. Happy holidays to all our great sponsors. They have the experience to help get the job done at Hunt Graphic Innovations. And Bim Ritter Sportswear at 817 2nd Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. And they are your spots. One-stop store for screen print and embroidery for polos, t-shirts, hats, and more from newborns to adults. And thanks to all our great sponsors. Lots to get to here. We're going to start off with some college football. We'll maybe tie in with some of the top stories in 2025. We will be back with you somewhat immediately following the Reliaquest Bowl on Wednesday. We will have our thoughts about it. Iowa and Vanderbilt. We will get to that coming up here in just a little bit. That will be our next podcast. We will not have one on Monday of next week. So this will be our penultimate edition in 2025, Mark.
Anytime you can use that word, it's a good day.
It is a good day. Indeed. So, well, let's start with the latest in Ames and what's happening with the Iowa State Cyclones, because it is tumultuous as expected after a coaching change. Many Cyclones and very many good players have announced that they are going to be heading off into the transfer portal. You know the drill. The announcement on X or Twitter of the photo and the long soliloquy about thank you to God, and He is pointing me in the direction of another school. You know how it goes, right?
Forever fill in the blank school. Yeah, right. Yeah, let's get rid of those letters for one thing. And now you got guys announcing they're coming back. Like, okay, great. But this is a mess at Iowa State. And for anybody that's laughing or making fun of Iowa State, I'd pump the brakes a little bit because this very situation could happen to you and your school. It could happen at Iowa. It could happen at Minnesota. It could happen anywhere. Um, and it really is a mess and it started with Matt Campbell leaving for Penn State. It was followed by a decision by the players to not play in a bowl game. I didn't understand that. And now you have about 2 dozen defections of high quality players at Iowa State. We don't know if they're going to end up at Penn State. Some of them may, some of them may not. Um, and the transfer portal doesn't officially open until next week. But uh, having said all that, you've got a 3-year quarterback leaving, a backup quarterback leaving, two great tight ends leaving, receivers leaving, a great linebacker leaving, defensive backs. You don't have a defensive back left, I don't think, in the program. And you wonder whether this is, it's the age-old question. Do kids sign with a school or do they sign with a coach? There's no question they sign with a coach. Otherwise, these guys wouldn't be transferring, or not as many would be transferring. It's just now Jimmy Rogers can go into the transfer portal and maybe reload with a couple dozen players, and Iowa State will be competitive next year. But I think Iowa State had 18 starters back for next season, something like that. And now it's very few. Um, it's just not a good situation at Iowa State. And I don't know where to place the blame. Do you blame it on Campbell? Do you blame it on the players? Uh, maybe the blame is shared by many, but it's not a good situation. It's kind of symptomatic of what has happened to college football.
It is, and we don't know where a lot of these are going. There are rumors, and a lot of rumors out there that many of them will be following Matt Campbell to Penn State. That remains to be seen. Um, you know, as far as Rocco Becht is concerned, I don't know. Penn State's got a freshman quarterback that got better and better at the end of last season after he came in for the injured starter. So, is there are a lot of questions still up in the air. But as far as Iowa State is concerned, right now Abu Sama is sitting there around the team room going, "Where is everybody?"
Wait,
At this
let me check my phone for any announcements.
because he may be in the portal now too. I don't know. Hanson's gone. Two wide receivers, Burkle and Brahmer, both tight ends. You said the defensive backfield. I mean, it's a mess that we kind of anticipate every time there is a coaching change now. And Jimmy Rogers could have the same amount of guys coming in from Washington State to Iowa State. I don't think really we've checked on that. I don't know if they're going to be as good or a quality of player as the Iowa State player. And it's an example, but I think it's maybe apples and oranges. But Kurt Signetti, when he came to Indiana, everyone thought, oh, God, Hoosiers are going to be awful. And they went to the college football playoff last year with a lot of the James Madison guys. Not saying that's going to happen in Ames, but I think it's a lot easier to build from nothing into going into a spring practice session and into a season much easier now than it ever used to be. I mean, if this happened in our era, Mark, this would have been a 5-year project. No doubt about it. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you had transfers coming in, they'd have to sit out a year. You would be playing a bunch of freshmen at this point, and this would take 5 years, one entire cycle of recruitment to get this back up. You don't have that now. So I guess that is one thing in Iowa State's favor at the present time. And looking at their schedule, and I took a look at Iowa State's schedule for next year, still not that imposing. When you take a look at the Big 12, there's no Texas Tech. There's no Arizona State. They get West Virginia and Central Florida next year. It's it's manageable to get 6 wins, but that doesn't mean a bowl game anymore, I guess, does it? Um, it's a mess. I anticipate once the dust settles a little bit that it's going to get better. But what could have been in 2026 for Iowa State? I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out most of the pundits would have had Iowa State first or second in the Big 12, right? Going into next year. And I think that's maybe a little bit out the window now.
No, I think the stability of the program is teetering right now. Um, because the head coach has left, the defensive coordinator, John Heacock, has retired. Other assistants have left. Players are now defecting, at least saying they're going to. Uh, I don't think it's necessarily a quick fix, even though the transfer portal is available out there. I mean, you talk about loyalty in a program. Loyalty should not be used in college athletics very often. Um, at the same time, I believe a coach should pursue other opportunities if he thinks it's better, and likewise for a player. But this is wholesale change. This is a stripping down the core of a roster, the core of a coaching staff, and starting from scratch. And Signetti did it at Indiana with a bunch of players from James Madison, and he has sustained that in year two. I don't think he can do that just anywhere. Maybe Jimmy Rogers will get that done at Iowa State and surprise us all. But right now, as we speak on the day after Christmas, it just doesn't feel very good if you're an Iowa State fan.
No, it's a crazy world that we're living in, and now there are
You know,
rumors to be.
the bowl game, the announcement of Iowa State turning down a bowl bid because it didn't have enough healthy players was bogus. Healthy physically, maybe a few. Healthy mentally, probably not. Mentally, I mean, the fallout from Matt Campbell leaving Penn State. Um, and right then and there, you knew a lot of players were going to leave.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and in the coaching carousel, you thought you heard everything, and now the next Michigan coach may be retiree Kyle Whittingham from the Utah Utes. One of your favorite programs, Mark, back when we
Yeah.
had the picks.
Well, Whittingham didn't retire though. He said he was just going to leave the program, and that I thought that was odd because he was so
66
established.
years old, going to
Yeah.
Michigan in the middle of a dumpster fire. Maybe.
I think if he is hired, he's going to be a stopgap, a solid guy who's going to be competitive, and he's not going to coach till he's 86 years old. He's not going to be Marv Levy. Um, I think maybe 5 years for Whittingham, probably, if he wins. But a solid guy with a solid reputation for a program that you talk about a mess. Michigan's a mess.
He still has to beat Ohio State.
They all do.
They
They
all
all do.
do. they or they will be shown the door, and that goes on both sides of the border.
Sometimes
Uh,
you beat Ohio State and still get shown the door, right, Sharon?
well, yeah, he showed himself the door. I
You
believe
did.
he did. Iowa State's not playing in a bowl game. Iowa is playing in a bowl game, and we need to take a look at the Reliaquest Bowl coming up on Wednesday again. We will have a wrap up of the game, our thoughts about it, shortly after after the end of the game, probably about published about 3:30 or so, I would imagine, after the Reliaquest Bowl. But from the things you never thought you would say department or far-fetched department, it's Iowa and Vanderbilt, Mark, on a pseudo New Year's Day. they're not going to play these games on New Year's Day anymore because of the college football playoff quarterfinals. We'll get to that coming up in a little bit. But these are the former New Year's Day bowl games. Hawks at 8-4, and taking on the Heisman Trophy runner-up, and the very interesting and always colorful Diego Pavia and his 3,200 yards of passing, 27 touchdowns, along with 826 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. I thought he was the best player in college football this year, Mark. The voters did not think that. They thought Mendoza wasn't, not taking anything away from Mendoza. But I think if you take Pavia away from this Vanderbilt team, I think they're probably 6-6. But instead, they're playing in the Reliaquest Bowl.
Yeah, he's an extremely good football player, obviously, and he's been around a while. Actually, when I think about it, this is the Grandpa Quarterback Bowl. I mean, a lot of folks have, every broadcast of an Iowa football game this year starts with Mark Gronowski and his long career at South Dakota State and now Iowa. Pavia has played in more games than Gronowski in his career. Together, they played over 140 college football games, and a couple of those years, Pavia played at junior college. But all things being said, he's a terrific football player, and there's no question that Phil Parker and the defense need to limit him, control him, whatever they have to do to win this football game, because he's going to be priority number one for this Iowa defense. Vanderbilt, in a 16-team playoff, they're a playoff team. They're that good. They lost to Alabama convincingly, and they lost to Texas narrowly. It's a good football team. Beat 3 or 4 nationally ranked teams. It's a tough matchup for Iowa. Vanderbilt's favored by about 4.5 points. But I don't think it's not a game that Iowa can't win, but it's going to have to play very well.
You're not going to stop Diego Pavia. You can try to contain Diego Pavia. As you know, and as Hawkeye fans know, Iowa has had trouble with this type of quarterback in the past. They haven't faced one in a while, though, really, Mark. Not, the Antoine Randall L type that Diego Pavia is. They list him at 6 feet, like 215. He ain't 6 feet tall. He's about 5'9", but he's a tough guy back there. He'd be the first to tell you he is a tough guy. This is a team that averages almost 40 points a game. Cut this thing short and get down to brass tacks. This is going to be the Vanderbilt offense versus the Iowa defense. That's what it comes down to, because Vanderbilt averaging 40 a game, the Iowa defense is giving up 15 a game. Something has got to give in the middle ground of those two numbers.
You don't want to experience another Citrus Bowl and the Tennessee disaster that was 35-0. And Iamaleava, who's now at UCLA, wasn't he the quarterback at Tennessee? And
Yep.
he wasn't maybe nearly as mobile as Pavia, but he heard Iowa both ways, and that was not a great Iowa football team. And I don't think this one is either, but it's a better football team than that one that Kirk Ferentz trotted out against Tennessee. And uh, you know the the controversy about Pavia after the Heisman Trophy ceremony, I don't think that's going to have a whole lot to do with this game. Is he cocky? Yeah, but is he good? Yeah. And sometimes good players are cocky and they can back it up. Uh, Iowa's challenge is clearly Pavia. Not that Vanderbilt doesn't have any other great players. Their star tight end, I don't think is going to play.
No, he's
But
opting out.
they got a real good running back who can score on the ground and receiving. And it's not a great defense, but a kind of middle of the road type defense that has played a very competitive schedule. So, uh, you break it all down. I think you talk about Pavia and controlling him, and also Iowa. Can it run the football? Can it control the clock? Can it get a couple turnovers and play Kirk Ferentz Iowa football, plain and simple? Shorten the game and try to win it in the margins.
This is you're right. And Iowa's going to have to me, for Iowa to win, it's got to be something like at least a 10-minute advantage as far as time of possession is concerned. 35-25. I think now there could be extenuating circumstances like block punts, turnovers, et cetera, et cetera. But let's just say that if everything plays out without any of that, I think Iowa's got to control the ball 35 minutes. And to bring up a Dwayne Schulteism and do your job. Because the Joe Moore offensive line of the year has to play like the Joe Moore offensive line winning group of the year for
How did
Iowa's.
how did that group win that award?
I'm not voting on it.
I meant to look up what the criteria is, and I don't want to rain on their parade because it's a group that came along the last couple of years. But I'm just thinking Iowa in total offense is number 118 out of 134 programs in the country in total offense. But its offensive line is the Joe Moore Award winner for the 118th best total offensive team in the country. Huh.
I don't know, Mark.
I don't
And they
know.
got,
I just
but they've got two high round draft
they
choices
do. They do.
on that offensive line.
Got a terrific center, got a couple good tackles, Dunker, maybe a number one first round draft pick, Logan
Yeah, Logan Jones will be.
Jones. Um, Terrific, Remington Award winner. It's not without talent. And together, I think the sum is greater than the parts when they're clicking.
Mm-hmm. Does this remind you? First of all, I think Vanderbilt and yes, granted, New Year's Eve in Nashville is a lot of fun. In fact, CBS is doing a show at Nashville on New Year's Eve. Got a feeling though, with a pretty short drive, not too bad of a drive. There's going to be a lot of Vanderbilt fans down there. I think there'll be a lot of Hawk fans, but I think Vanderbilt is going to have the majority of the fans down there. And does this remind you of a little bit of a Northwestern back in the day Renaissance by Vanderbilt? I mean, they were, and as you said earlier, the SEC is the SEC, and I believe it's the best conference in America in football. Might be overall the best conference in America, but that's for a different show. But Vanderbilt used to go 2-9, two and when they played 11, now 2-10, and now they're playing with the big boys. I mean, it just shows, like you said, the talent that they have, the teams that they have beaten, the teams that have beaten them, Texas and Alabama. I mean, I don't think you could have, and what they're doing also off the field. Brand new refurbished stadium, beautiful state of the art stadium in Nashville, all kinds of amenities, training area, training facilities. That's what kept their coach in Nashville. He would have been gone by now after this year. After last year, he would have been gone. Definitely after this year. But he signed a long term contract because they said, we are going to be a good football school. They're already good in baseball. They're one of the best in the country. They're terrific in men's and women's basketball. Vanderbilt's becoming a player, Mark.
For a long time, Vanderbilt was the doormat of the SEC. And it's not been they're not a 1 year wonder. It's happened over the last couple, 3, 4 years. It has been increasingly competitive as the years have gone by, now 10-2 and an ultra competitive SEC. And they are definitely a player on the national stage right now. They're among the top 15 teams in the country, if not better than that. And and signing the head coach and sinking money into facilities and presumably NIL. If you can win at Vanderbilt, maybe you can win anywhere. But they're not only winning, they're winning in arguably the toughest league in the country, and beating some of the blue bloods and competing with them. So it's Vanderbilt's not a flash in the pan, and maybe here to stay.
For Iowa, sounds like Hall will not be available in the secondary. Uh, that means we're getting a lot more Zach Lutmer, and
Good.
nothing against TJ Hall, but I think that it's not a bad thing that we're getting a lot more Zach Lutmer back there in the defensive secondary. He was the cash guy. Now he's going to be a little bit of cash and a lot of uh, starting cornerback for Iowa. So yes, I feel bad for Hall, but I don't think it's going to be quite the loss that Iowans believe it could be. Um, they still are going to need a great contribution from the defensive backfield, and they're going to have to put some heat on Diego Pavia to the point that they don't allow him out of the pocket. It's kind of like, and to go into the NFL ease, the game plan for the Kansas City Chiefs every time they play Lamar Jackson is they don't want to sack him. They want to keep him in that shell, make him be a quarterback back there. Because if he gets his legs involved, then all bets are off. And I think that's going to be one of the keys for Iowa and Vanderbilt if they can keep Diego Pavia. He has almost 850 yards of running this year. So he's a tough guy when he gets out of the pocket like that. They got to keep him in there, and I think make him one dimensional.
Yeah, and it's not going to be any big surprise or any guessing game for the Iowa defense. The Hawkeyes have already played two of the best quarterbacks in the country and probably two of the first three or four picks in next year's NFL draft in Mendoza and the Oregon quarterback. Uh, so facing Pavia is not going to be they're not going to be intimidated against him, but they're going to have to execute. And the great mystery about all bowl games, in my mind, is you have pretty much a month off. Not only who wants to be there, but how sharp are these teams going to be? Is Vanderbilt going to be as sharp as it was against Tennessee in the last regular season game? Really, really embarrassed the Vols. Is Iowa going to be as sharp as they played down the stretch? Played very well. The defensive backfield, of course, you're going to miss a TJ Hall, but Ludmer's had a heck of a year. Entringer has announced he's going to come back next year. And some of these seniors like Wampa and Herkett and Aaron Graves, I think, this is their last shot at putting on a uniform for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I think there's maybe 20 seniors that are going to have that same mentality. Vanderbilt will have some as well, but there's that aspect as well. So a lot of things play into it. When it comes right down to it, it's execution on each side.
You talked about Iowa. There are a lot of guys playing their last game for Iowa.
Yeah.
This is a team next year that's going to have quite a few holes to fill going into the year. Quarterback, although two will be back as of right now. Now, we should preface this by saying as of right now,
Hmm.
because I don't know how many people are going to put their name into the port, have one of those soliloquies and their picture next to it on X next week. Already know of one for Iowa with Washington, but it's, wide receivers, yeah, few back. Top tight end, at least receiving wise, is back, but gonna be a lot of offensive line change next year for Iowa. New quarterback, know that. Running back position looks pretty stable though for Iowa. If they can get some guys that can block up there, but they're gonna miss Graves, they're gonna miss Herkett, they're gonna miss a lot of guys in that defensive line, and a couple guys in that defensive backfield. So it's going to be a different looking team for the Hawkeyes in 2026.
Oh, you think Jeremiah Cooper or Caleb Bacon or Gabe Burkle couldn't help the Iowa Hawkeyes? I'm not insinuating that any of the Iowa State players entering the portal would jump ship and come to Iowa City, but there's some good players on that Iowa State roster, as there's going to be all across the country. Burkle, I don't know that was really heavily recruited by Iowa. It's more other Big 12 and Big 10 teams, but he's from Cedar Rapids for crying out loud. And but I guess my point in going there is I was going to have to look at the portal in some respect. It has not been a big time player in the portal, but there are certain positions that are going to need help.
I would agree. I would agree. All right. With that being said, what's the score prediction?
Um, 34-23.
Who?
You just asked for a score. You didn't
Well, what team?
Vanderbilt.
I I just think Diego Pavi is the difference. And I think it's going to be something like 31-23. I think it's going to be a good ball game. And I think Iowa can win this football game. I don't want people to poo-poo both you and I, but I they've got the second best. It kind of reminds me of back Iowa State in the day. Um, and of course, the name escapes me now for that Iowa State quarterback. That was
Steel
really
Jans,
no, not Steele Jans.
Seneca Wallace.
Seneca Wallace. Thank you. That that was the X factor, and Vanderbilt I think's got the X factor in this one. If Vanderbilt gets over 24, I think it's going to be tough for Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa would have a very difficult time winning a shootout.
Yeah, but we will see, and we will talk about it after the game,
Yep.
and look for everyone's reactions, and then we will talk about those as well. We would be remiss, Mark, even though this technically is not our last podcast of the year, to not just at least go over some of the top stories of the year. And I think we've already talked about the top one. I don't think anybody would, doubt the fact that Matt Campbell leaving for Penn State is the top story in Iowa this year. It trumps Fran McCaffrey and his departure from the Iowa basketball program. I don't think there's a doubt, but I mean that's got to be number one, right?
Well, I think it edges local media being canned at radio and newspapers in this town. No, I just kidding.
Are we
Just
top
no.
10?
We may be top 10. Halas may be top 10. I don't think there's any question the Iowa State situation is the number one sports story in Iowa, with Matt Campbell leaving and all that's gone on there. I think a real close second is the transition of the Iowa basketball program, with Fran McCaffrey being fired and Ben McCollum coming in. I think that's a real close second. And there's some other contenders, but I think those are probably the top 10. You go back to March and Drake's run with McCollum and Bennett Sturts. What a story that was in the NCAA tournament. And, this Iowa football team this year, I used to do a top 10 every year at the Gazette, and it was always dominated by Iowa football. Whatever Iowa football did. Of course, Iowa was going good in the 80s and 90s, and it's going good now. And this season could be, a top 10 too. I mean, 8-4, but lost 4 games by 15 total points. And I think another one's coming around that you think of women's basketball and Caitlin Clark. Well, what about Audie Crooks and what she's doing on a national scale right now? And the year is going to be over, but the season is not going to be. And right now, she's leading the country in scoring, I believe.
She is, and has a real good opportunity to perhaps be the National Player of the Year in her junior season. Um, So that may be 2026's top story, foreshadowing it. But
Yeah.
I would agree on all those fronts. A couple under the radar ones that just kind of dawned on me as I was thinking about it would be as a racing guy, um, the loss of the IndyCar series coming to Newton and how that's going to impact both the Iowa Speedway and the economics around central Iowa. I think that was big. And also the announcement of the departure of the boys' state basketball tournament, moving from Des Moines to Ames
Yeah.
in 2 years. Is the Casey Center somewhere in there?
I don't know. I think you put our, we're partial uh to local things, but Xavier's football season, and you covered it from day one to the state championship game. Uh, that doesn't get old. And what
No.
Xavier did this year, Dowling in the big class unseating Southeast Polk was a big deal. But Xavier winning the state championship, I think, deserves, in Eastern Iowa anyway, some pretty good consideration for top 10.
Yep, I would agree. I would agree on that. And yeah, just seemingly there was always, and I used to vote on that AP list of the
Yeah,
top stories of the year, and there was always at least four Iowa football angles, at least two or three Iowa State football angles to it, and it was just
maybe
the generic,
basketball. Yeah,
yeah, the generic Iowa basketball season, Iowa State basketball season.
yeah.
um, if they, if either one goes, 2-28, is that a part of it? I suppose it is because then it was awful, right?
Well, it's the flip side of it. Yeah.
So 15-15 doesn't get you anywhere. Oh, I know one thing: it's not the Rusty Nails winning the championship in 2025. That did not
Not in
occur.
the bowling alley, no. But I think we both agree that Iowa State football and Iowa basketball are 1-2.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And Ben McCullum in there, and perhaps if TJ Otzelberger could have a lot of Iowa State basketball top stories of 2026.
Number 3 in the country, yeah, to end the year.
Number three, not going to lose to Houston Christian as well on Monday night. I'm going to go out on a limb. Iowa's not losing to UMass Lowell Monday afternoon either. At 4 o'clock. Thank you, Big Ten Network. Jeez. All right. Big thanks to Emel's Hideaway on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. Happy holidays to them. Stop on by. They're open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. Thanks as well to Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids. To our friends at Bim Ritter Sportswear, downtown, 817 2nd Avenue Southeast, online at bimritter.com. Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids, and Hunt Graphic Innovations. They run our crmlivesports.com website, and they can do the same for you if you have a website out there or just need some help in that realm. So thanks to all those folks. And we will talk again after the bowl game, Mark.
After the Iowa win, right?
Probably because we both predicted that would not happen.
That would be just fine. Yeah, we'll talk after the game.
All right. Thanks to all our great sponsors. Thanks to everybody out there. For Mark, I'm Scott. Thanks for listening and viewing the Unash and Dukes podcast.